it's me, the Nitty Gritty Yarn Girl. It's Monday night, and this is Twisted Stitches. Thanks so much for joining us for another fun-filled night of fiber.
No.
And already.
Okay, we're back. Sorry.
Hi, this is the Nitty Gritty Yarn Girl. Welcome to Twisted Stitches. I think we're doing a rerun there. Okay, we are back. We are live, and we are so excited because we have a great show for you tonight. I've been talking about this this trunk show for the past few weeks, and it's been bits and pieces and pulling it together, and it is finally here. So I'm very happy. We've got a special guest with us, and we're going to get started in just. There's a very special person who I know who's having a birthday tomorrow. So we are going to be singing happy birthday. And so just bear with me, sing along if you'd like. And we're singing to the great and amazing. So happy birthday to you.
Cha-cha-cha.
Happy birthday to you.
Cha-cha-cha.
Happy birthday, great and amazing.
Cha-cha-cha. Happy birthday to you, cha-cha-cha, and many more.
And many more. And thank you so much for being such a great fan of Nitty Gritty Yarn Girl, and for being such a mentor and a helper whenever I need somebody. You're a great person. So, but let's get right to our show. You know, as I said, when we've been putting this together for a while, and I am so very, very fortunate to have a special guest with us, Cornelia Tuttle Hamilton. It's like her name is synonymous with Noro, and she is a knitwear designer and author of, I believe it's 5, maybe there are more books that include Noro fashions in them. And she's here with us tonight to share some of her story and some of her designs. So welcome, Cornelia. It's great to have you here.
Well, thank you, Paulette. It's great to be here.
We've had a good couple of conversations over the past few days, and you've filled me in on a lot more than I ever knew about Cornelia Hamilton, and I'm really happy to know it. And one of the really special things that I've learned this about you, not just through our conversations. I knew this before. You've actually met Noro, and so if you would take a little bit of the mystique and mystery out of this brand for us, that would be great.
Well, I don't know if I can do that, but that's the mystique and mystery. Yes, I had the great pleasure of meeting Mr. Noro while I was working on my Noro Meet the Man book. We kind of call it that. It's 40 designs, came out by Soho Publishing. And traveled over to Japan. I had worked in the Noro yarns and known about them already for 25 years more than that, almost 30 years when I wrote the book. And I had, there was only one picture of him basically that had ever been in circulation. They used to do this magazine way back in the day in the 80s, and his picture was in there. This handsome man. So I had over the years built up this that was my picture of him. In the bottom corner is the old one. Yeah, that's the one. That was the only one that we knew. And so when I got there, I took the portrait of him, the bigger picture. But I just, from the beginning, fell in love with the yarns, and they talked to me. There was something about them that was very soulful and different than anything on the market. And of course, it's because they're designed. He's really the only, in my opinion, true yarn designer in the world. And they were also interesting to work with. So a lot of people, they come to Noro through the colors, but for me, it's more the way that the yarns behave and the colors. So I was all excited about going to Japan, and it wasn't until a few days before I left that I thought, my goodness, what if my impression, this idea that I had built up over all this time, what if I meet this fellow and he's not what I expected. And I was just so sure about this idea that I had built about him that it didn't even occur to me that he wouldn't be that way. But it was strange. So, but as fate would have it, he was the way that I was getting him through his yarns, and he really was that way, or however you want to put it. And it was a really interesting experience to meet him and learn about the business and be taken into the mill. And I got to see the production process, and it was all explained to me. And I got to photograph it. The only sad thing was that when I got off the plane the next morning, I had the flu, which was terrible. So I had to work while I was sick the whole time, which was not very much fun. But it was great, and I got to eat a lot of really wonderful Japanese food. He's a vegetarian and eats all organic food, and but we had translators the whole time because he doesn't speak English. That I think he does probably, or understands it anyway. He didn't feel comfortable speaking it, and so that was interesting. And the whole place was very interesting, very humble, and very focused on product, and not a compromised product, but a product of superior artistry, you could say.
Right. And you mentioned that he's vegetarian and he eats organic foods. There's an organic factor to the yarns too, isn't it?
There is. Now, if you look on the labels, it says Noro, the World of Nature on the label. And when I found out more about his history, which was intriguing because we don't know anything, we're coming from America, we have no idea. His factory, if I don't even want to call it that, his office and the mill is in the yarn production part of Japan, or the textile part. And in Japan, there has been the entire, historically, a very strict adherence to certain aesthetics when it comes to their fabrics and their work when it yarns. And he took it somewhere else right away when he was young. He was in his 20s, and he did all these colors, and he did the self-striping, and of course it took the whole industry 30 years to catch up or to figure out how to do that on an industrial level. And
I'm just holding up one of the garments that I have here that shows beautifully how the self-striping and the yarns work.
Now it's funny because there are always colors that for us, and when I say us, I mean an American, it might stick in your eye, so to speak, where you're just kind of like, oh. But then when you knit it up, it somehow works. You need that. And if you take that color away, let's say the yellow in there.
Right.
There are certain colors. There's a Noro, what I call a Noro green, that sometimes I'm like, ugh. And then, but when you do the garment, then all of a sudden you realize you kind of needed that to break it up and add a little pizzazz.
And whether you're working with the Silk Garden or the newer yarns, Ito's not really new anymore, but the Akaris and all those, that self-striping is always, that factor is always there.
Well, now they have introduced some solids, which is great because the books that I did was all self-striping. There was basically no solid. Well, Kashi Roja was solid, but very little solid. So that demands a certain, you have to consider that as a designer. So it's just to do. But what happened? Go ahead.
No, I was just thinking. So speaking of designs, some of the designs in this book, we had talked about in our conversations that you had some real favorites. So one of the ones that I think is absolutely beautiful is the kimono.
Well, Clara Lund, I think, is the one that you're talking about, and my favorites are one thing, but what people love is always interesting. And Clara Lund ended up being the most knit probably of anything that I have designed. And everyone has a Clara Lund, it seems like, or several. very interesting. So, yeah, so that's great. Now that I was worried about that garment because I thought it might be too figure specific because it's cut across the bust, and I almost didn't put it in the book, and it's a good thing I did because I was wrong on that one. And yeah, so
Looks like we have some comments, Paul. Yeah,
oh,
my husband's putting his my director is
trying,
telling me we have some comments.
All right, we've got some comments coming in. Anna Maria says, "Good evening, everyone."
Good evening.
Good evening.
Carolyn Noller, "Hi, everyone."
Hey,
Helen
Carolyn.
Solenberger, "Hi, all, and hope all are safe. Happy birthday." Knitting Fever and Neuro Yarns, hooray! Andrea Whitmore, hello. Linda Crawford, hello from Mississippi. So happy to be here. Jackie Burns, hello from Flint, Michigan. Knitting Fever and Euro Yarns, the mystique and the mystery is dyed in the wool like the yarn. Rita Johnson Cotterman, hi from Humboldt County. Knitting Fever and Neuro Yarns, preview Noro, meet the man. There's a link right here.
Yep.
So I'll put that up in just a moment after I get caught up. And we have Valera Pate says, hi from Hotlanta. Pamela Rose Atkins watching too. Donna Smith, can't pronounce that one. Hi from Connecticut. Helen Solenberger says, gorgeous. Pamela Rose Atkins, love the pattern. Andrea Whitmore, hi from Indiana. Love Noro Yarns. And let's see here. Oh, Jackie Barnes says, my favorite yarn. And Andrea comes back with love Noro Yarns.
You know, it's interesting. Over the few months that we've been doing these shows, Cornelia, we've become a little gathering place online for fiber enthusiasts, and we love that. We're having a good time with this, and you can see how the fans are from all over the country, and it's really been a lot of fun. So yeah, we've got a link on. Thank you so much, Knitting Fever, for putting the link up to Meet the Man book, and so there are a couple of other things in here that we were talking about, and please continue to add your comments as we go along. We love your interactions, and this show is for you, not just for us. So please, we love your input along the way. So we had another thing that we talked, the Cirsa ruffled shawl. That's really a pretty piece as well.
Well, the Cirsa shawl is actually double silk garden, or silk garden held double is what I'm trying to say. And I thought that people love it. And so that was another one. Now the edging, you see the lime green, that's Kashi Roja. That was the only solid colored Noro yarn at that time. And it's simple and it works, and it was given away as a lot of presents, I can tell you.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Now, Kashi Roja, is that still available?
No.
Okay, so if we were going to substitute, would we use Silk Garden Solo?
I would say so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And is that held double as well in the pattern?
Let me see it again.
Let me see. I was just going to say, I'm going to look at it with you.
I don't think so.
No. Okay, so that's single. The rest. Now, when you hold it double, so are you working from two ends of the same skein, or are you working with two balls at a time?
Probably two ball. I can't remember.
Yeah. No, well, I'm sure. I don't know that it. I'm just curious. Sometimes they say to work from two ends of the same ball, or if you're holding it.
Let me. I can actually look in my book. It looks like two balls. Back then, they were pretty uniform. So because the colors aren't tweeting, so
right.
Yeah. So it must. Yeah, you see what I'm trying to say. So yeah,
absolutely. Yep. So you probably had two balls holding them side by side. Yeah. Cool.
Couple of comments coming in. Missy Moto says the best yarn! Exclamation point. Vanessa Magalone, hi. We have Candy Giebler says hello from Wisconsin. I have loved Noro forever. Elizabeth says hi from Texas. Thanks for doing this. Julie Denny Stark, love that shawl, so pretty. Knitting Fever and Neuro Yarns, put the link up.
Cool. Perfect. Well, and if Paul, if you want to walk here for
Yeah,
a moment,
let's do it.
you can see we've got a couple of different. I put up
Ooh.
some color combinations of the Silk Garden and Silk Garden Solo because we've got a few different products that are going to be coming out. This right here is from the Silk Garden book, and this is the boxy open cardigan. This is a great sweater. Just here, you know what? I'm going to try that on because it's a beautiful fit. I love the way this falls. I'm glad this lady's wearing lace and she's not totally naked right now. Look at that. Isn't that great? This is really beautiful. I love the way the collar falls on it. And the colors are just so great. I actually, my sweater, Paul, that I have upstairs that I wear all the time in winter, it's very similar to this color combination. So this is the open boxy cardigan, and this is on our website. And what I did with this is so many of the patterns. What are you giggling at?
Me?
Asmund Baldini says, "Happy birthday, Daddy. Thanks for being a great customer of Nitty Gritty Yarn Girl." And from KFI. Oh,
That's
my
funny.
God.
Let me put that on.
Naomi says, "Good evening."
I was trying to keep it quiet.
Oops.
One of the great things about Silk Garden is its loft. So the yarns, you actually get a lot of yardage on a ball of Noro. People back, especially 40 years ago, they were pretty much the most expensive yarns on the market.
I remember.
Yeah, but you get a lot of yarn for your money.
Yes, you do. That's right. And when you look at these, you look at the skeins, I think they're reasonably priced. So, this is great. So these are some of the different color combinations that I put out. This Starburst cowl, I just thought was so pretty. When I saw this, that's when I decided I wanted to do this show. I saw this cowl and I love the colors in it. So when you see the 3 skeins here on the table, the sets of 3, those are all the color combinations that we put together for the cowl. There's just quickly, I want to bounce back to Cornelia for a moment on the from in Cornelia's book, Meet the Man. I mentioned that we have the kimono on our website. And what I did was, because these patterns are not available separately, the pattern on the website or the kit on the website includes the book. So the cost of the book is included in that. But we've got a little surprise for you, because I was able to get a book to give away. The first person who orders the kimono cardigan or the kimono sweater on our website will get this book for free. So when you order it, we will just deduct the book and we'll refund you the cost of the book when your order comes through. Also, you can find the book on the website as well. So that's there by itself. So let's talk a little more about, go back here to these patterns that we were talking about. Another one of my favorites in the book here is the Japanese, the entrelac bag. And this I love. Are you a fan of entrelac? Do you do lots of it?
You're asking me?
Yes, I am. I'm so sorry, Cornelia.
No, I've never designed with it. I always try and figure out my own techniques and stitch patterns, and there are people, yeah. So I haven't. I think I've done it once, but
this is pretty cool. I love the way the bag falls. It's a cute little design.
What's the yarn? Silk Garden.
This is Silk Garden.
Yeah. Beautiful.
This is Silk Garden. It's got two different colors in it. So what's really cool, because the entrelac, you're using only two skeins, 2 different colors, I should say, to get this effect. Where you might feel like you had to use so many different.
And it's lined
combinations. Sorry.
Is it lined?
It is.
Yeah, which is a really good thing to do. I've done several bags with the Noro yarns, and it's best to line them, I will say.
Yes, if I'm going to do a bag, I usually do align it. And there's another fun project.
Oh, I have a question.
Oh, yes.
First of all, Anna Maria says, love, love, love that sweater. But Jillian Goldrich has a question. What is the pattern for the sweater over Cornelia's left shoulder?
Cornelia's
That would
left
be
shoulder.
on the video. Let's go to the video.
All right, let me see if I can turn around the right way. This is
You got it. Good girl.
This is a new release. It's a, let me get her in the picture. It's top-notch pullover is what I call it. And it's available on Ravelry and my own website. So it's made out of Tayo, 2 colors, and it's a stripe pattern.
I'm just pulling some. I happen to have some Tayo here, just to give the folks a little insight on that yarn. Tayo is a cotton, silk, wool, and polyamide blend. It feels lovely, really luscious.
Tayo's a really interesting yarn. I call it chewy. It's delightful somehow. It's a very interesting combination of it's gutsy is what it is. It's not it's a sturdy yarn, and that's the cotton in it. Yeah, I find it quite nice to wear too. So
yes, it feels nice and soft.
It's not a thin yarn, but it's wearable, and I have one of these for myself, and I've been wearing it. I really like it.
And is this a worsted weight?
I would say it's thicker than that. I don't know. I don't
more
go,
like an Aran.
Yeah, I don't go by those things. I go by the gauge. I knit it at 18, I think, to 4 inches.
Okay.
I guess that would be Aran.
Okay.
Or light, chunky, or I don't.
Yes.
I've been doing this so long. We didn't have all that from the beginning.
Well, you've been doing it longer than I have, at least for that part of it.
Just want a couple of comments. When you had that sweater on, Andrea Whitmore says it looks awesome on you. And Naomi Braswell says, Silk Garden Book, a lovely cardigan and beautiful colors. I'd like to order this yarn for sure.
Well, you can go on our website, and the boxy cardigan is on the website.
Link is up right now.
The link is up already. Yep. Oh, we've got a bunch of different colors up there for you.
Anna Maria says, feels great and looks great.
Patty's been knitting with the Tayo because she thinks chewy is appropriate as a description, which is
good. Oh, chewy. Yeah, it's great. I love it. I love these, and I love the colors.
Yeah, the colors
so vibrant.
Yeah, colors are nice. And you get a usually I like to knit the Noro a little bit on the open side, but with the Tayo, I felt I started the sweater and I just was like, no, this has to be knit tighter just because of the surface. What happened? There was too much going on. It just looked better knit a little bit tighter.
Well, I'm going to have to get that pattern and create a kit for the folks here. Because so what we do is I include the cost of the pattern in with the yarn, in with the kit, and it works out really great. And we put together different color combinations for the folks so that they can choose what they like from it. I call it seeing. Sorry, go ahead.
Well, when you're knitting with it, if you get to 2, are you talking about this one?
Yeah.
Yeah, if you get to a place where there are 2 colors are too close together, you can just switch ends on the ball.
Oh, there you go.
All right. Susan says, love the lining too, but Naomi Braswell wants to know what's the best material to use for the lining?
Oh, well, I would use a cotton. A cotton always works good for me. Is there anything you would use, Cornelia, if you were lining a handbag, a tote bag?
I would use probably cotton.
Yeah. I like it because if you had to just kind of turn it inside out and just wash the lining a little bit, it's easy. You start using other fibers and other fabrics, they might move around too much.
Cotton is sturdy, so it'll keep the shape too.
Yep. Another one of the Silk Garden things that I really enjoy felting, and this is a great felted bag. Now this one they didn't line. But I find even with my felted bags, I like to line them as well. And this is a fun one too. And I felt about the old-fashioned way. I get a tub of hot water and swish it around in the hot water and the laundry detergent or the dish detergent, and I just have a great time with it.
Jillian says, first of all, pretty, and then she wants to know, Paulette, will you do a kit for that sweater?
I will do a kit for that sweater. I think I'm not going to have a choice but to do a kit for that sweater, and I'm going to, definitely.
And Naomi Braswell says, gorgeous, all caps, wool and silk blend. Great to work with.
Cornelia, what are the colors that you did that sample in? Do you know?
No, well, not off the top of my head. If you want, I can pull up the pattern.
Oh, yeah, I can look it up later.
Okay.
That's right, because it's going to be on the pattern, and we'll be able to get it from there.
I've got it right here. It's number 116 to number 130.
Okay, 116 and 130.
Yeah.
Somebody write that down for me. No, I got it right here.
Candy Gabler says, Talio is delightful to work with. Patty Parker Degnan says, chewy is perfect description. And Naomi says, I totally agree. Naomi says, thank you so much.
Thank you.
And Jillian says, definitely want to purchase a kit for the sweater.
Okay.
And Patty says, Noro choices are mind-boggling. Switching ends is brilliant. Naomi says, thank you. I shall try cotton then. Studious face emoji. And we have Candy Giebler says, I have a question for Cornelia. Do you think of the design first and then choose the yarn? Or do you choose the yarn and figure out what to do with it? Or both?
Hi, Cindy. Thanks for the question. My job, as I see it as a designer, is to market yarn. That's why the companies hire me. So, and with the Noro yarns, they have so much ego, I call it, that you cannot simply ignore how the yarns look, and they're just very distinctive and work in different ways. So I always go from the yarn.
Okay, and then you design your pattern based on what the yarn is saying to you?
No, I design on the needle. I knit my own garments. I knit all my own designs, and then I write the pattern afterwards. So it's already been knit.
Wow.
Yeah.
Cool.
And
very interesting. I always wondered how that worked. I talked with a couple of different designers, and they're all a little bit different. Some design the pattern first on paper, and then they go to the needle, etc. So
I usually I'll get an idea in my head usually for a stitch pattern, and it's usually an architectural kind of a thing, and then I'll try and work it out. It just depends, but always taking the yarn into consideration.
So when we look at this, this is very interesting, because I'm looking at some of the things that are here, and what I find is that there's not a whole lot of extra design work. So like there's a little bit of lace in something, but Noro just kind of has its own beauty that it doesn't need a whole lot.
No, it doesn't, and at least I don't think it does. That's exactly right. And so so I think it wins with strong stitch patterns, though.
Right.
Or cross-directional work, or
and we see a lot of that in Noro.
Yeah.
The cross direction. I think it gives a lot of interest to the self-striping.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. Really nice.
Mm-hmm.
Cindy says, that's fantastic. Pamela Rose Atkins says, so talented. And Helen Solenberger, always love hearing how designers design.
Yeah, we're all different. That's for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. So what do you have a favorite design that you incorporate into a lot of different things that you do, or is it kind of all as you go along?
I don't do a lot of lace. I try and stay away from things that other people are really good at, because there's room for all of us. So I've tried to be distinctive and I try and do things that haven't been around before. So that's kind of what I do. And I developed a technique for being able to make columns in the work without breaking the yarn, because I needed to do a new book in self-striping yarns, and it actually wasn't a Noro book, but it was a book that I was commissioned to do by another company, and I wanted to take it all to the next level. I was like, okay, I've done 5 Noro books, and I've I've, I've actually done 15 books altogether.
Wow.
But wanted to do, just didn't want to repeat myself. I don't like that. So I had this idea, well, what if I must be able to make my, holes without breaking the yarn. And it took about 2 years. I would come back to it and I was always kind of irritated by that. I couldn't figure out, I was like, well, how can I do this? And then one day I sat down with my coffee and the breakfast, and I figured it just kind of came out. I was like, oh my God, there it is. So
Coffee does that to us.
this is an example of it, which I'm making in Akari right now. So it's very architectural, I guess you could say, and you can do all kinds of things with it, and you can make any size hole that you want to. I haven't figured out yet a satisfying way to make a circle. I'll say that. So it's mostly squares and rhombuses and rectangles, but
now that kind of reminds me of that you sent over a picture of a cover.
Oh yeah, the Noro magazine.
The Noro magazine cover, and I don't know that if I can pull that up on my phone to show everybody.
The 10th issue of the Noro magazine. Yeah, that was a good one. That was in that thick yarn. What was it, Korean Air or something?
Hurion?
Yeah.
Yeah, let me see.
Right.
Oh, somebody's telling me something is showing sold out on my website. Your kimono is showing sold out on my website. It is not sold out. I will fix that. Let me find my email from you.
While you're looking, Jillian says yarn does the work. Linda Whitsim says, I'm working with Paleo right now and loving it. Enjoying your insights. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Patty Parker Degnan says, knitting has made me realize I'm not bad at math. VA. Cindy says, do you have a favorite yarn?
Well, now that's an interesting question too. Don't wear a lot of sweaters that I've made, and I will get a sweater and then I'll wear it to death. And I have one from my first book that was done in yarn called Kosheron, and the pattern is Sunday, and I wore that and I wore it out basically, and I knit another one. So it's not my favorite to knit with, it's my favorite to wear. So there's all these different considerations. I have to say though, I'm starting to work in Akari, which is a new one of the newer yarns, and I'm loving it.
I love Akari.
Yeah, I really.
Fabulous.
So, and this, what I just held up, this is in Akari, and you can see that. I'm going to see if I can. There's a lot going on here. So there's a lot of dimension and the holes and the whole thing. So it's a pretty cool design.
Yeah.
Well, Naomi says that, wow, very creative indeed. Love the squares. Pretty too.
Thank you. And I see Knitting Fever linked some kind of a cowl there, the square hole cowl, right?
Yeah, this is it. Oh, sorry.
There's the link to the issue. Oh, you got it on your phone. Yeah.
I have it on my phone. Yeah, because you sent it to me. So
it's actually an interesting, what I did was I used I call my technique drop stitch open work. It's knit side to side. And then I use the technique to create the shaping at the same time. And so stuff like that is what gets me going.
No, that's, I mean, it's very unique. And it's something that, boy, I would look at it and go, wow, I would never think to create something like this, but yet it looks really great. Well,
I think that knitwear, I like to see it as an accessory, even if it's a whole garment. So that is sort of a statement piece that you work
right.
You're building your thing around. The other thing is I try and do designs that are not really dateable. So people are still knitting from my first book which is already 12, what is it? I don't know, 12 years ago, more. And so timeless pieces, you
And
know.
that's really funny because I use that word. I wrote that word down because that's what I see Noro as, a timeless yarn.
Well,
It's
Noro is timeless, and then to me, my job is to make it, let's keep it timeless and
the designs as well.
yeah,
Absolutely.
bring out
Yeah.
the qualities that it works with, So there, it's a combination of all kinds of things.
Yep. Exactly.
Cindy Giebler says, I have a transition coat that I love.
Yeah.
And Andrea Whitmore says, have you ever worked on a design and found the yarn you were using was not ideal? How did you adjust?
Well, again, I work from the yarn, so you can't expect a yarn to do something that it can't do, just like you can't expect a person who's good at math to do math well. So it's better to look at the yarn and what can this yarn do? What can we do with this? Now, the piece on the front of the magazine that we just saw, that's a very heavy yarn. And there aren't many situations where you're going to want a yarn that heavy in the house. At least I don't. So
Right.
I thought too, okay, so what can we do? You want to lighten it up. How can we lighten it up, make this wearable? That would be one example. I don't work with flimsy yarns usually, like bamboo. I don't like things like that. I want a yarn that's going to hold a structure. And the Noro yarns do. They're criticized sometimes for not being soft. How often are you wearing wool on your body? Never. I mean, come on. It's not a really relevant, to me, it's not a relevant criticism because you have so many other things that are wonderful about it. So don't expect a yarn. It's really good to try all kinds of yarns. I recommend that to every knitter. Buy all kinds of stuff in your, the, what do you call it, the sale bin. Just anything that catches your eye and work with it to see what it does, to see what kind of needle you use. There's a lot you can learn from just trying different yarns and then get a different yarn. If you really want a lace project or whatever it is you're trying to do, get a yarn that works for that project.
Right. And speaking of yarns that work for a project, look at this one here. This is just so pretty. This as simple. I was talking before about, that as you said, you don't need a lot on these. This is a sunburst shawl. And this is
yeah, it's beautiful.
Using Silk Garden 415. So this is just Silk Garden. And again, really, I love the way the stripes show so beautifully in this. And just the little trim, the little edging, the little edging there. The points on that just work so beautifully. And Silk Garden, it's not, you were saying before, Cornelia, about it being not soft or scratchy. I don't find it really scratchy, even though, and we've knitted up the shawls in Ito, and I don't find it scratchy at all.
Well,
and I can say I'm not wearing it as my main garment either.
Right. I don't find it scratchy either, but some people do. They're sensitive, But
yeah.
Then some people complain because every once in a while there's a little bit of organic matter, as it's called, in the skein.
Right.
That makes me happy.
Yeah, exactly. It's natural.
There was an animal, there's nature, that's fine with me.
Right. Right.
And so, and from one thing I will say, as a lot of people are complaining about knots in yarn. I look at a knot in the yarn as a person was there. And for all of the industrialization of process and everything, that's proof that there was a person there, because these machines run and run and run and run until you need to put a knot in. And I just like that.
Well, it's a very interesting way of looking at it. I think we have more comments.
Cindy says, even my husband loves Noro. I just finished a sweater for him out of Curayan.
Good for you.
Says, I love it when I find bits of grass in the yarn. And Patty Parker Degnan says, you have legitimized my stash. I love that shawl.
That That's great. So I want to make sure that we don't forget some of the things that we had talked about tonight, that I wanted to talk about tonight. So I did tell you folks that I had a couple of things that I could give away. Now I've got this 20th anniversary collection. This is the Silk Garden book that we based our trunk show on tonight. And but I have a very interesting way. I want to see how observant you all are. If you've walked around the studio with us over the past few months, there is a poster of me with Noro yarns. And that poster says, immerse yourself in the luxury of Noro. I'd like to know the first person who can tell me where I am in that picture, in that poster. And the first person will get a copy of this 20th anniversary collection book. So we're going to see who pops up with that answer. That should be very interesting.
Patty says knitting is art. And Rita Johnson Cotterman says, as a new knitter, I love learning about yarns. Looking forward to so many projects. Anna Maria comes in with In the Bathtub. Rita Johnson Cotterman comes in second with In the Bathtub, but Anna Maria was first with the mouse click.
Okay, well, you know what? Rita and Anna Maria, you'll both get a copy of the book, because that's exactly where I am. And there it is, up there on there. That is me immersing myself in the beauty of Noro, the luxury of Noro. We had such a fun time doing that. All right, enough of me in the bathtub in a bathing suit.
You got a bunch more bathtubs coming in. Sorry, ladies.
We were having a retreat. I was hosting a retreat, and just before the retreat, I'd gotten in a big shipment of Noro yarns, and I had everything from Ito to Akari to Kuma. I mean, I said, I feel like I'm like drowning in this stuff. And so my girlfriend said, oh, you should get in the bathtub and take a picture with it. So, don't tempt me, because I'll do just about anything. So thanks, ladies. You each get a copy of that Silk Garden book. And you know what? Let's see. So Anne Maria.
Oh, Rita says, thank you. I'm dancing around the room. Anna Maria says, yes.
Well, that's great. So now you two you'll be all ready for your great patterns and your kits, because this is such an exciting book. You're going to love it. You are just going to love it. Let me just go around real fast and show you that cowl. This is another lovely. This is called a cowl, a smock stitch cowl that's also in the book. But I kind of like it draping down like that. I think sometimes we lose the beauty of a cowl when we just kind of hang it around our necks. So I like to do that. And I love the fact that the stitch shows up very nicely on both sides. So I kind of flipped it around so we can see that.
Very nice.
Yep. And then right here, this is this is the drape front cardigan. Love the blue, the offset color on here. And that one is also in the book. So if you'll find a few of these on the website as kits, but as I mentioned, the kits the patterns are not available individually on most of them. The drape front cardigan will have a pattern for, as well as the starburst cowl will also be a pattern, a separate pattern for. And the rest of them are all in the book. So the book is on the website right now. Those of you who weren't quick on the trigger, there's a great special price on that book right now through Sunday. So go ahead and you can order the book. And what I also did was put many of the colors of the Silk Garden and Silk Garden Solo on our website as individual skeins. So you can look at yarns by weight or just put in Silk Garden and Silk Garden Solo in the search bar, and you'll be able to find those. And so that if when you see how many skeins you want, you can just buy the skein as well as a kit. We do our best to put together kits for you because it's a lot easier. But this was one time that I think the book has so much in it. You're going to want it. The same as the the Meet the Man, the Noro Meet the Man book. Again, if there's the first person to order that kimono online will get that book free. So, Cornelia, is there anything else you'd like to add? I mean, it's been such fun chatting with you, and the group has so many questions. Are there, maybe just I ask first, are there any more questions for Cornelia? And in the meantime, while we're waiting, Cornelia, is there anything else you would like to add and say to the group?
Well, it makes me really happy that Noro is still going strong and that they've stayed true to their aesthetic and their production methods, and that the audience is getting bigger and bigger, and that I've had the fortune of helping to translate that into garments that people like and want to knit. So I feel very glad about that, very grateful for that.
And there are some beautiful garments that you have created. Thank you so much for sharing with us today, tonight on our show. Were there any other questions, Paul?
Let's see. Patty Parker Degnan says, "You are so good at this!" Exclamation point. And Maria says, "Agree. Lots of great patterns." Andrea Whitmore says, "My first time joining, but this has been great." Well, you know, Andrea, we are on every Monday at 8 o'clock.
Well, thanks for sharing.
I enjoyed it too. Thank you, Paulette.
Oh, it was such a pleasure to have you. We've got more trunk shows coming up. There will be another Noro trunk show down the road a little bit as we get the new yarns in. You know, some people might say, oh, you know, it's still pretty warm and we're not thinking about, you know, working with heavy yarns. I'm working with heavier yarns right now because I don't want to be behind the 8 ball come the change in weather. If there's something you like, now's the time to start thinking about it. So we've got a Juniper Moon Farm trunk shows coming up, another Noro trunk show. Who else? Mirasol, Jody Long. So they're all going to be coming. And in between those shows, we got some other great things for you. Next week on the show, we're going to be doing a blocking demonstration. So be sure to tune in next Monday as well on Twisted Stitches at 8 p.m. Eastern. And
a few other comments before we go here. Let's see. Cindy says, "If you're going to spend time on a project, you need to love the yarn." Teresa Raker says, "Love Noro!" Triple exclamation point, triple heart emojis. Linda Whitsim says, "Thank you, Cornelia!" Exclamation point. Helen Solenberger, great meeting you. And let's see. Donna Horn says, "Wonderful patterns. Thank you, Cornelia." Linda Whitsims
here.
and Paulette.
It's been fun.
I'm glad.
Knitting Fever and Euro Yarns, thank you for the fun event. Carolyn Noller, Christmas is only 5 months away! Exclamation point. Hint, hint, hint. Teresa Raker, love your patterns, Cornelia.
Thank you.
And Cindy says, "This has been so great. I'm such being all capitalized, a fan, double exclamation point."
Well, we're glad, both Cornelia and I are glad that you're fans. And I had such a great night tonight, Cornelia. It's so nice to have an added dimension to the show. And you certainly did a fabulous job of telling us not only about you, but about the Noro yarns and your design work and all that you do to keep us as knitters happy in what we do. Thank you so much for being on the show. I'm really glad. I look forward to, I hope you'll do another show for us.
I would love to.
Thank you so much. We'll see you soon.
Okay.
Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye.